Hello, YouTube. It's been a couple of days since the scans came out, and I've had a couple of days, I've had the time to sort of understand how the community feels, how I wanted to put my thoughts out, and last time I was in a rush, was busy with something else. I wasn't able to fully concentrate on my thoughts and sort of display to you guys. But today, I think I've assessed the situation properly. I've sort of absorbed all the information that I've gotten from the community, how we as a community feel. And to be completely honest, I didn't expect the amount of backlash Oda got for this chapter because I personally didn't find it absurd. I didn't find it ridiculous that Oda would be changing the Oda would be changing the fruit. Oda would be changing literally Luffy's you know whole character because of a double fruit. But to be completely frank, I think it makes sense. It might not be obvious to most readers, but as a nerd that I self-proclaim nerd of One Piece, I think it does make sense. I think it has been foreshadowed. I think Oda was going for this. Either way, okay, look, the whole Nika thing, the whole Sun God Nika thing, might have been something very recent. It was only mentioned 20 chapters ago about the Sun God Nika. Before that, we knew nothing. All we knew is that in Skypiea, there was someone that was a sun god, and Luffy had the same pose as Sun God Nika when we got it in chapter 937. And the next thing we knew was Joy Boy. Joy Boy was revealed in Fishman Island when Robin went to see the poneglyph that was there and saw Joy Boy's apology. So it's very recent that Oda sort of developed Joy Boy, Sun God Nika, and Luffy being connected to them. Okay, I'll give you that. Sometimes when you're writing a story of 1000 chapters, you can't plan everything. He's a human being. As much as we want to say that he's an amazing author, he's out of the world, he is still a human being. He makes mistakes. And not everything is planned. He's not a god. He's not a god that he's gonna plan everything from start to finish. You don't expect someone, no writer in this world who has written a long, long story has planned out everything from first to last. There would be retcons here and there, and I think it's forgivable. I think it's forgivable. As a reader, honestly speaking, I've read most of the long running animes out there, and there was always a retcon. If Regardless of it being big, small, there was always a retcon when it comes to creating a long-term story, especially for a story like One Piece with over 1000 chapters. This in One Piece, there's so much to remember. There's so much to remember for all the chapters we've read. The Oda himself doesn't remember what he said. He has to go through the One Piece wiki. He has to go through our records, our thoughts and process, our information that we've gathered from reading the manga, putting it in One Piece wiki, and that's how Oda gets his information some of the times. Because it's not possible for a human being to remember everything. And that is true. Sometimes you just have to forgive and let Oda explain himself. So moving on from the whole forgiveness thing, that he might make a mistake, I think we should give him a chance. It's been 2 chapters since we got revealed that Luffy is Joy Boy. It's been 1 chapter since we got to see Luffy's Gear 5. And honestly speaking, I think we need to give Oda some more time to explain his thoughts. Maybe it won't be as convincing, but it's his story. He does whatever he wants to. If you don't like it, then leave, and it doesn't matter to him. But as a reader, as a fan base, what we should be doing is give Oda some time to basically flesh out the whole Gear 5, to flesh out what he actually wanted to do, to flesh out a reason behind everything he's done, from the Gorosei chasing the Gomu Gomu no Mi ever since it's been awakened 800 years ago, till now, why they haven't been able to chase it down, why they didn't try to kill Luffy, why Luffy wasn't targeted in the first place. I think we need to give them some time. We need to give him some time. We need to give him some time for the world government's reason for not going after him. We need to give him some time to explain how this power works and how it came about. And I mean, if you guys are this impatient by one chapter, I don't know if you guys actually read the story. Oda has given reasons for every single one of Luffy's power-ups. He came up with Gear Second after looking at Rob Lucci when he used the Tech Guy. Was it Tech Guy? It was a flash step sort of thing from Bleach. The whole speed thing, it came from Rob Lucci. He pumped out his blood. He tried to become faster. For Gear Third though, there wasn't any reason as to why he did it. There was no inspiration. He just felt like doing it, and he found out something that he could actually do, and he did it. For Gear 4, it's been stated that Beastman, he was fighting against beasts, and he needed some sort of an ability in order for him to give that amount of power through blowing up his muscles so that he could fight against the forces of the beasts. And that's how he got Gear 4. Gear 5, however, is not that simple. I don't think Luffy came up with it, it just happened. But we need to give him some time. Moving on from this, let's actually talk about why this actually makes sense from a story perspective. Okay, I'll accept it. Everyone has to accept it. Oda himself will at some point accept it in his BS if he's ever asked the question, that the Sun God Nika thing, was it planned or was it not? Most likely the answer would be no, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. Because if it was, the community wouldn't be so pissed off as to most of other things. And, well, aside from that, the power of granting Luffy all the freedom he wants with using rubber, it makes sense. Now, number one, from what I've seen from a few people in social media, people think that he can do whatever he wants with his power. It's limitless. No, it's not. It has to be inside the realms of rubber. What the Gorosei says explicitly is that it grants the user complete freedom to do whatever he or she wants with the rubber, according to his or her imagination. So it always has to do something with rubber. He can go beyond rubber. He can't do something like this, like literally change his powers from rubber to mochi. He can't do that. His imagination has to be within rubber, and whatever he does is up to him. Now, when it comes to the freedom aspect, about the devil fruit being changed. So this is something I picked up from Joy Theories after watching his video on it, that as a writer, as a mangaka, you would want as much freedom as you want to change your character, because it gets boring to write and draw the same thing especially to draw the same thing over and over again. This is why Hideachi, the writer of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, he decided to change up generations. Every one of JoJo's parts are divided into generations. It's the next generation, and generation after that, for him to allow some more design space. He's not only boxed in one sort of design, he's not boxed into one sort of character. He can basically change up the characters as much as he wants to, because not all, if you change generations, people change genetically and everything, and I think that is a very smart move. For Oda to do this makes sense as a writer, because he wants the most freedom when it comes to designing his characters. And I believe this was one of the only legitimate ways by which he could actually do something about it. And props to him for figuring something out like this. Like, if you take any other like very good mangakas or writers, I don't think they would be willing to go with the change. They would rather continue the same thing over and over again, so that the fandom doesn't get, pissed off at him or her. But Oda decided to take the leap without giving a damn about what we think. But I think, from a writer, he did the best thing possible. He came up with a way so that his drawings wouldn't be boring, and he doesn't have to continue drawing the same attacks, the same forms of Luffy as he's been doing for the past 25 years. Now, a very good example Joyboy Theories put up was Super Saiyan. The reason why I don't like Dragon Ball Super, I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Super was a little meh because it's all about Super Saiyan turning into God. There's nothing else other than that. I hated that. It's the same form over and over again with slight boost in power and speed. That's very boring. The same could be said for Luffy. The only reason why we didn't get bored of Gear 4th is because Oda had 3 or 4 other forms planned for Gear 4th. So it didn't make that boring of a form changing thing. But I think if he continued the same way without changing something significantly, this significantly core part about Luffy's powers, I don't think he would have allowed himself to, expand his horizons. I think we should give Oda a chance, and this, from a writer's perspective of granting freedom to yourself and to the character, makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk about Luffy. Why this power is the most suitable for him. He wanted to become the king of the pirates because he wants to be the freest man in the world. And how can you be the freest man in the world when you're only stuck with whatever you can do with your body and rubber? He's been tested on his imaginations. He had freedom, but it's all dependent on imagination. It all depended on Luffy's strategies and ideas about his fruit, and that's how he got Gear 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. But for moving on and making this something greater, in order for Luffy to actually become the king of the pirates, in order to become the freest man in the world, he needed to have a power that is free from every restraint other than yourself. The only thing holding Luffy back from achieving his fullest potential with his current devil fruit is his imagination and his will. And I think the whole imagination and will thing, and how Luffy sort of tries to understand his fruit and how he wants to do as much as he can with the fruit, makes a lot of sense at this point. Now he can do whatever he wants with extended capabilities, with more freedom and more space. And that is fitting. That is fitting for the freest man in the world, who's going to be the king of the pirates. Now, as for the fruit being Mythical Zone is a bit too much. I don't think I was looking at it so far ahead, but I was wondering if it is a zone. Or a very special sort of zone that allows all 3 sorts of devil fruit, all 3 types of devil fruit to be within Luffy. Paramecia being rubber, Logia being liquid rubber, which I guess at this point might be a thing, might not be a thing, and zone where Luffy gets to change his forms. So it is a mythical zone, and this line from Blackbeard makes a lot of sense. He said the fruit chose me, the Yami Yami no Mi chose me. That means Yami Yami no Mi is not a Logia, but rather it is also a mythical zone. And it'll especially make sense since I've already made a comparison or the similarities between Luffy's and Blackbeard's fruit. They look exactly the same, just a slight difference in pattern. They're the complete opposite with the same goal in mind, and I think Blackbeard's fruit is actually also a mythical zone. That is the most logical explanation that I could come up with at this point. And I think other people would also catch up to it, because it's very obvious. It's very blatantly obvious. And since we sort of understood that Blackbeard and Luffy are parallels, and their fruits and their abilities will sort of counter each other and balance each other out, or be the same, I think it's likely that Oda has been foreshadowing this for a while. We just didn't pick it up. It's our fault for not picking up. And another thing that's like, okay, look, from this point on, I'm gonna go back to the speculations we made as a community about Luffy's fruit. The 2 weeks that we were on break, we went on a span saying that it's either it's the Raisin Fruit, it's Monkey King Wukong, it's Hanuman, and it's none of those, and I think I'm very happy with that. I didn't want any one of those, and I think this suits perfectly. Oda didn't change anything fundamental about Luffy's devil fruit. It is always rubber, and Oda in, I think, SBS 65 was asked the question that is, why didn't you make Luffy so basic as a main character? He said if Luffy wasn't basic and normal and had a very overpowered fruit, the story would be very, wouldn't be very long and wouldn't be so interesting for Oda to write. And he said it's only just rubber. And even after all those changes, the one thing that remained constant is that the fruit is rubber. Oda has been telling us this for a while. We haven't picked it up. It's our fault. Maybe he didn't completely plan everything, but as a reader, as the community as a whole, I think we should be acceptance of that. If you're not happy with it, don't read the story. Don't read the story. Just don't make other people's experience bad because of your opinion. You're allowed to state your opinion, but don't say Oda messed up, because we haven't seen everything. Let the man breathe. Let the man have some time, and I think we'll get to the necessary conclusion we always wanted to get from this point onward. Has the story changed? Will the story change? Maybe. Is it for good? Is it for bad? From what Oda has done for the past 25 years, I think it is good, and I think as a community we should wait, accept the change, and see what Oda has planned for the future. Thank you all so much for listening. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, see ya.